Everything's in place. We did the
Mhm.
sound checks. Yep. Seems ready to go. Now it's the 15th August 2019. Thursday, 7:22 p.m. Usually I have the same questions.
Okay.
What brings you to Latvia? What are your impressions?
Okay. Well, Latvia is very far from Indonesia, so I only know Latvia from the Art Nouveau buildings, the Jugendstil, because I'm an artist. I like work. I like to explore my art capabilities, and then, well, one time I was searching in internet about Art Nouveau, and then the result is bring me to Praha and Riga. I went to Praha twice, and then this time I want to go to Riga. I want to see the Art Nouveau building here, and yeah, well, it's not disappointed at all. I really pleased with the building here. It's very beautiful, very nice, and then yeah, beautiful. I mean, the city is a UNESCO city for Art Nouveau, right?
Dude, I don't know.
Okay.
I just know we have those buildings, yes.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that qualifies for some special status.
Yeah, it's a. I searched that in Google, and yeah, I read some in Wikipedia, and yeah, that's what I found.
Do you believe in special statuses as sort of a qualification that, yeah, this is something special?
I think it's branding, so I believe in that. I mean, like
Oh,
this.
really?
I believe in that because like this. Branding is not only about the brand or about a person, but also the city itself. I mean, for now, not so many people know about Riga, I think.
Yeah.
And then,
especially in Indonesia, probably.
especially Indonesia. I mean, my mother doesn't know that. I tell her that I tell her that I was in Riga, and she asked me, "Are you still in Germany?" No, Riga is in Latvia. I think my mom doesn't even know what is Latvia.
To be honest, I would guess she would be more guessing, oh, somewhere in India.
No. And then I told her that Latvia is a country on the north in the Baltic area, and then she looked at in Google and she know where is Latvia now.
It's interesting that you specifically sort of found out about Riga and Latvia from the topic of Art Nouveau.
Yeah.
Damn,
Because-
that's so interesting.
Because like this, I work in Art Nouveau. I mean,
And what do you mean work in Art Nouveau?
I work in Art Nouveau. My artwork sometimes, my artwork is inspired by Art Nouveau a lot.
Okay.
So yeah, I like Art Nouveau, and then I work in Art Nouveau field sometimes. Even more when I was studying in university. So yeah.
And what is it that you do on a daily basis? So if you're an artist, if you are
artist.
related to artwork, so
Yeah.
what is your daily?
I
Because
work-
you don't have a 9 to 5, then I guess.
No,
Right.
I'm a freelancer and I work based on commission. My biggest commission so far is I paint a church. I paint the church ceiling. You can find that on
Where?
my Instagram in Surabaya, my city.
Ah,
It's a digital fresco, so like this.
what confession is that?
Okay, digital fresco. I'm a digital painter. I work in Photoshop.
Ah,
And then for this project, for the church project, the media is like this. The field that I have to paint is 8 meters times 5 meters, and it was 8 painting. So I cannot paint manually that much in the church.
You could.
Well, the time
Who painted the Sixtine Chapel?
Michelangelo. No, but
So yeah, if you
it
want
wa-
to be
no,
great,
I don't want to be like that. I mean, Michelangelo is maestro, and well, I'm not that great yet.
why do you say so? You could be so, right?
Someday,
You just need to learn Grasshopper.
yeah, of course. I mean, like this. The time that the church give to me is very limited. It's only 3 months, and then in 3 months I have to finish all the eight ceilings,
Okay.
eight walls.
Yeah.
And then I proposed them about the topic of. No, I proposed them about the technique of digital painting, and then they can just print it. They print it in a very big very big wallpaper.
Do you enjoy it if it is printed rather than painted?
Well, my field is digital actually.
Oh, so you mean that
All my artwork is digital painting.
so you mean that the artwork has been done by you,
Yeah.
and you don't really care whether or not the artwork afterwards is physically or digitally printed
Well,
out?
of course, I care about that. I mean, it's about the quality, and then of course the church people, they also very care about that. I mean, it's their church, and they want to have the best painting there.
But what confession is that? Church?
Sorry?
What religion is that? Church?
It's Catholic Church.
What?
Catholic Church.
Catholic Church.
Catholic Church.
So a Catholic Church wanted you to actually make the artwork for the interior,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And so is it more modern?
Yeah, it's a
Because of
modern
that.
church. I mean, like the church is rather new. It's built on 2003, I think. It's just like 25, not 25. It's I think it's only
Because you've been to
15 years.
the old town, right? That's
Yeah.
if you say church, that's what I understand as a church. Right,
It's
the
a
old
Lutheran
type of-
church.
Yeah, all type of buildings.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, the church is more like neo-Gothic church. Well, yeah. I mean, like
The only modern churches I've seen is do you know the Mormons?
yeah.
Yeah, because those just look like almost regular buildings.
It's like this. The church is like get inspired from the Southern Europe church. Actually, I mean the church here is different. I mean the church in Latvia in Riga is more. Yeah, the Nordic one.
Yeah.
It's more like Gothic. I don't
Okay.
know. Well, but the church in Surabaya, the one that I paint, it's more like the the Southern European church. It's very, I think it's Romanesque. It's big and it's vast,
Okay.
very very large church. And yeah,
But it has a tower or no?
it has tower.
Ah,
Uh-huh.
so you did also the artwork
No,
for
no,
the tower?
not the tower. Only the ceiling. The ceiling is like
For the hall.
For the hall.
Mm-hmm.
For the you call it nave.
What?
There is
Nave?
nave.
Not sure.
Like this. The church have. This is the nave, and then this is the aisle. So
I just know the aisle. Why? I don't know what you mean with the nave.
the nave is the center aisle.
All right. Yeah.
That one is the nave, and then this is the the architecture. I'm not really good at architecture, but I think this is the name is nave, and then I paint the ceiling that is
Yeah, I get it.
about that.
Yeah. How did you? Well, no, that is not your sort of specification, right? You would paint other things as well. You would do artwork for other things as well.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you asked me
So
to
how did
draw
they?
anything.
Yeah, how did they find you to do?
I like
the
this.
ceiling?
I'm a Catholic too, and then I'm enrolled in.
Hey! Wait a second. Isn't Indonesia mostly Muslim?
No, I mean, yeah, of course, 80% is Muslim. But,
now you're being suspicious right now. Why are you Catholic? Or kind of
80%
Christian?
is Muslim,
Mhm.
and then about 10 to 15% is Christian.
So
And
what's
Catholic
what's the longest? Who's the most longest in
the longest religion in
Indonesia?
Hindu and Buddha.
Huh.
Yeah,
Because I would imagine that
I think you don't know
Christianity was
anything about
just-
Indonesia, right?
'Cause
I think
What?
you don't have any idea about Indonesia.
basically no.
Yeah.
I only have a conception that it is probably a lot of islands.
A lot of island, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and I've heard. I remember reading. I don't know if you heard the
Mhm.
book. It's called the memoir, either the memoirs or something of an economic hitman.
Mhm.
And so the person was describing different aspects of American foreign politics,
Mhm.
and Indonesia was one of the examples.
Mhm.
Basically, what he was describing is that, as if I could remember correctly, in the 1970s, there was
65.
what do you mean?
The communist downfall.
Oh no, not about the communists, but I think he was describing that in the 70s
Mhm.
or late 70s, basically at the beaches you just had some goats and some herders, and
Mhm.
then after the 80s, when Americans started cooperating and sort of giving Indonesia loans to
Mhm.
pay back the same people who loaned them the money, sort of, right?
Uh-huh.
Then a lot of hotel resorts and a lot of tourist
Yeah,
attractions evolved, but it hasn't really helped Indonesia. That was his point.
Mhm.
That basically Americans came in, built many things, got Indonesia into a lot of debt,
Yeah.
and then sort of enjoy the fruits while Indonesian people are still sort of suffering.
Yeah, that's another topic actually. It's about Papua. I think you know the Freeport. The Freeport is a gold mining in Papua. That is, it's a.
I think no. Well, he was specifically giving examples about Jakarta.
Okay, well maybe that's, I don't know. I don't really know about that one.
But that's what I remember.
Mhm.
Yeah, him speaking
Mhm.
about Indonesia as an example of American economic policies.
Okay, thank you for the information.
Well, you're welcome.
Uh-huh.
So that's what I've heard about in Indonesia. Other than that, not much. There's a lot of islands,
Mhm.
and I think a couple of years ago, some type of military dictator took over Indonesia,
Yeah, yeah.
something like that.
The communism don't fall in '65, and then the communism is banned in Indonesia now. We don't have communist party.
All right.
No, no at all. I mean, like,
Well, nobody really misses the Communist Party. Let's be honest.
yeah, but
It's not like the Russians would be
of course, yeah.
crying about the communists.
But like this in Indonesia, before the communist people that associated with communist party is get caught, get raided, and then there is massacre of communist people
Yeah.
in '65.
Well, but that's all over the place, right?
Sorry,
It's
all over Indonesia.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah, so and then there is no
those were the times.
justice for them now,
Yeah.
and then people have like this. Well, we're glad that Indonesia never be communist.
Hmm?
We are glad that Indonesia never be communist
Mhm.
country. But in another hand is there is injustice thing happen to people that was in communist party before. There is no fair judgment. I mean, people just get caught and then they are become political prisoner for 20 years or so, and up to now, they still don't get their dignity back.
Well, that's actually, if you would ask me what was my overall impression
Mhm.
about Indonesian politics
Mhm.
or sort of social dynamics, I
Mhm.
would say, dictatorial
Dictatorial,
style. Just
Dictatorial style. I mean,
but it's weird
Uh-huh.
because it's the 21st century. There's no real point in having all those old-fashioned type of dictators around. It's not like he would do something more effectively than you could by people having just smartphones. Doesn't seem really that effective.
well, for me, like dictatorship, like it's all the same in all country. I mean, whatever the ideology, is it right or is it left? I mean, if you are a dictator, you will do the same thing. I mean, like take people and then they are get lost sometimes.
I remember, and I think in the same book that he was describing another example from. I think he was mentioning South America, either Panama or some of those
Mhm.
small countries, where he basically said, there was sort of a one-man rule, but the men. He was mentioning two South American countries and two men that were the presidents or something, and he was mentioning them as an example that even though they were the sole rulers of the country, they were acting for the benefit of their people. And he's explaining, and because they were acting for the benefit of their people, they were murdered.
Okay.
Because it means that they didn't want to get their country into debt. They didn't want their country to be miserable because some foreign economic interests wanted some piece of the country. So that's what he mentions, that's because they protected their people. They get murdered.
I think that's happened to my country too. I mean, like there is some, well, you can say conspiracy that the downfall of our first president Sukarno is because Sukarno doesn't want to open the door of global trading with America before, because it's our country is just a new country at that time. It's in 75. I know, it's in 65.
What's the story of Indonesia actually?
Well, our country got our independence in 1945.
Okay.
After.
And what was before that?
Before that, the island that now called Indonesia was occupied by, the VOC,
The VOC?
VOC is the Holland trading company.
Oh, the Dutch?
The Dutch. The
Nice.
Dutch.
You should have stayed with the Dutch, dude.
No,
look
no,
at where
no.
the Dutch are
Well,
now. You should have stayed with them, dude.
Different story, man. That's different story.
But
I mean,
look at the Dutch. Look at the Dutch.
well, I mean, like to be I don't know, Commonwealth or occupied part of Dutch.
You were a colony, basically.
Colony.
Yeah, Dutch colony.
Dutch
yeah,
colony.
but dude, I'm telling you.
I mean, it's different. Become a colony and become the master of the colony, right?
Well, look.
Mhm.
Here's the thing. I don't know why, but certain lately it comes up for me when I speak with people from, let's say, Brazil.
Mhm.
What else? Some, let's say, Venezuela,
Mhm.
Argentina, all those different countries.
Mhm.
Almost always, they say, well, yeah, there's a lot of poverty in our country.
Mhm.
There's a lot of problems.
Mhm.
And so I'll tell them, well, do you know any countries that have less problems? So it always comes back to, let's say, Switzerland, Germany,
Yeah.
where there's more.
Scandinavian country, yeah.
yes,
The
yes,
small
yes.
country, yeah.
And so I ask him always, wouldn't you like for your country to be run by them?
No.
Why?
Because like this, back again, Netherlands is a small country. Why it's wealthy? Why is it very well managed? Because it's a small country. Our country.
No. Well, what would be the reasoning then for Switzerland being a wealthy country?
It's smaller than Indonesia.
Hmm?
I think it's smaller than Indonesia.
No, well, it's definitely smaller than
And
Indonesia.
then the population.
Here's the thing.
Uh-huh.
Switzerland has a lot of industries, global industries.
Mhm.
So their wealth is more related to them being just exceptional on the global scale. A lot of industries
Well,
come from Switzerland.
Like this, I don't really know about Switzerland history for now.
Mm.
But from the point of view of Indonesia, why our country now is not as developed as European country, maybe it's because we are overpopulated. One, we are the fifth most populated country in the world.
But why you say overpopulated? It means you have more. You have more workforce. You could actually do more.
Yeah, this is
right?
the first. The first is overpopulation. The second is bad government.
What?
Bad government.
Bad government.
And it's the history of bad government that cannot be solved only in, well, our president now, people consider him as a good president,
All right.
but he only ran for 5 years now, and
That's the military dude, yeah.
No, the military dude is downfall 20 years ago.
Oh, but I thought
Suharto.
Currently I thought the dude is also a military dude.
No, he died already. The military dude have downfall 20 years ago, and then we have reformation. Well, the military dude is.
So who's the dude currently? Where does he come from?
Jokowi Dodo. He's from the. He was a merchant.
Tell me the name again.
Jokowi Dodo.
Jokowi.
Jokowi Dodo. W not. No W. Jokowi. Okay. Dodo. Jokowi Dodo. This one.
Widodo. Okay. Joko Widodo.
Yeah, this one. This is our president now.
And so he's not related to the military at all?
No, not at all.
Damn.
Well, the military guys has downfall 20 years ago, and then the regime is down, and then we have reformation. His regime is totalitarian.
Mm-hmm.
Not this one. I mean the military guy Suharto is a totalitarian, and then he's the one that raid with the communism and then kill all the communists. And ban the communist party.
He was the first Indonesian president not to come from the military.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay. Yeah, not to come from an elite
And
political or military.
He doesn't come
background.
from any dynasty of politics.
I get it.
He's not a politician at all. At first, he's just a merchant.
Okay.
And people that do this, how you call?
Accounting?
No, the wood.
I get craftsman.
Craftsman, yeah, a craftsman. He has a craftsman workshop in Solo, a small city. He was a mayor of the city, and then he got some interest and become president now.
Okay, and so what are the changes happening with him?
The infrastructure. So like this. Okay, let us back to the topic of why our country is not so good.
Okay.
This is the bad governance. For 32 years, the President Suharto, the military guy, he was like this. He was open the trade with the Western country, America, England.
That's good.
At first, people think
Yes.
it's good.
Yes.
But second thing is he got loans and he corrupt the loans.
Yeah, well, that's
He
bad.
and his family corrupt the loans. They become very rich family now.
Oh, they are still
They are
Rich?
still rich. They are still rich.
nice.
And then
Nice.
in the last election, the family runs for the parliament.
Hmm?
Well, some people still believe in them. Some people still vote for them now. But yeah,
People have bad memory.
bad memories and like this because some people they feel like in the surface people are have a good life. I mean, they don't really care about the human rights. They don't really care about the corruption thing because we have like independence of food one time.
Independent what?
Independence of food. So it's like we don't import any food in 80s.
Well, all right. That's good. You are self-sustaining.
But that's only one time.
Ah.
And then after that, bad things happen. And then in '97 is the peak of crisis. You know, there is Asian economic crisis that time, and then there is inflation of our currency against dollar, against USD, and then well, that's why he was done from glory. The other thing is because first the corruption, and then he was doing the kidnapping of the activists. So people that is protesting against his policy, they are kidnap them, and then they are get lost until now. There is
Yeah, those were the times.
yeah, like something what happened in Argentina, something like that,
Or in Russia.
or in Russia, of course. Oh, in Russia, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, look.
And then well, it's not done. I mean, the
Oh, dude,
tradition.
I just recognized you have a shirt with Jesus showing
Yeah.
the fuck you.
Yeah.
That's what you call art?
Are you
Dude.
a religious person?
Not at all.
Okay, I'm not religious too.
Well, didn't you say that you're Catholic?
I'm a Catholic, but I'm not religious.
What a hypocrite.
Not a hypocrite. I mean like this.
You sinner.
I
You sinner.
see myself as a libertine now.
Well, but then you are just a sort of either agnostic or you are totally atheist, I guess.
No, well, I can say that outside I'm a Catholic, but inside I'm agnostic.
So why would you say that outside you are something different? What's the reason?
Because like this,
Social acceptability?
Acceptance, and then also I hang out a lot with church people. Well, my Christian friends know that. I'm not really a good Christian, but well, we are still hang out together, and I went to Bible study, I went to theology class. I can explain you about the Catholic teaching and so on.
But you really don't.
But I don't believe in
You're
that.
not interested in that.
Well, I'm interested in that, but I'm not really believe in that anymore because it's a totalitarian system. They ask you to be totalitarian.
What do you mean?
Because like this, how the church call a Christian, the sheep.
Well,
Well,
the flock, yes.
The flocks of sheep. You know
Yeah,
why
yeah.
sheep?
Because there's a shepherd.
And why the animal sheep? Why not the other animal?
Well, it's sort of symbolic of a group following their leader.
Yeah, because the sheep in real life, the sheep are they are nearsighted. And
I
then
don't know if they have meant it that way.
because
I just think they use it as a
Well,
metaphor.
I was going to Bible study, and this is what they told me. So they are nearsighted.
Who told you?
The preacher.
The preacher told you? No. The preacher told you that they chose sheep because sheep follow blindly? Probably not.
Not follow blindly. They are nearsighted, and then they are dumb. I mean, they are not intelligent animal, and then they are easy to they are easy to manage.
Dude, that's not a good priest. He's not selling the religion at all.
Well,
He's not selling it at all.
I mean like this. The other animal that they compare to sheep is the goat. The goat is intelligent animal. They are fast. They are independent.
The what?
Goat.
The goat?
The goat. You know, the sheep and the goat.
I don't know.
That's a comparison. The
But-
sheep
but-
and the goat. And then the goat. The goat doesn't need to have shepherd. It's intelligent animal. Even they
Yes,
can.
No, but goats
Even the
do.
goat
but
can.
But goats do have flocks and shepherds.
Well, you know the mountain goat. They can even go to the mountains and then.
All right.
Yeah.
But you have definitely groups of goats that are being watched by humans
Yeah, I think, but
who round them together and
yeah,
do
in Christianity,
whatever
it's
they
not
need.
about flocks of goat. It's about flocks of sheep, and
All right.
Christian want us to be the sheep,
I don't
so we
know,
are
I don't
easy to
know.
control.
Yeah, look, maybe
know, the Catholic
maybe a
Church.
priest told you this, right? But I don't know if 2,000 years ago they decided, let's
Not 2,000 years ago.
let's make those dumb people believe.
Well, like this. Don't say about 2,000 years ago. I mean, like this. Catholic Church is a political organization, more than
Alright.
religious organization.
Fair enough.
It's
yes.
a political
Well,
organization,
look.
and political organization you need people.
Here's the thing: every organization with people in it
Uh-huh.
is political.
Of course, yeah, and you need value, you need rules, you need rules to
Some discipline, yes.
to discipline people, and then that's why they made this kind of the sin things and then the merit things, the virtue and everything. So you will do good because
Say what you want, but if you compare it to those cultures that didn't have the biblical or Judeo-Christian
I mean like this. It was-
morals.
I don't say it's bad. It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
efficient. It
That's
was
what I'm
efficient. But now, I don't think. Well,
Well,
maybe people need that.
Yeah, we can use some filtering. Yeah,
Yeah,
we can take the good and leave out the rest.
The things like this. Okay, some people need that. Many Indonesian people call them religious. They need God. They need a religious institution to tell them where to go or how to do.
Because it's socially.
They
It's
feel
social.
safe.
It's social conditioning.
Yeah.
And sort of that.
But for me, I call myself a libertine, a person with free spirit, and well.
Could you go to let's say an Indonesian public square and cuss out your president?
Cast out my president. I mean, like,
Openly complain and denounce your.
a lot of
politicians?
people do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
like, his opposition do that.
Okay. Yeah. You don't have to risk anything, right?
Our freedom of press now is very very good, I think. But the freedom of expression, so. Because
What are the limits?
because the limit is not from the country itself, but the religious people.
Oh, you mean self-imposed limits?
Sorry,
You mean self-imposed
not
limits?
self-imposed, but religious people from another religion. You know, like
Yeah, but that's what I mean. It's not really public order. It's a more like some social groups just
some social
thinking
group. Yeah,
that it's not
yeah.
appropriate.
There are some radical Islam in Indonesia that they want to make Indonesia a Khilafah country. You know, the
what
Khilafah
Khilafah
Sharia. Khilafah is a country that managed by Islam leader.
Oh, but that's so old school.
Well, you cannot say that. I mean,
That's really
for
old school.
people.
Look, here's the weird thing.
Uh-huh.
It always comes up when they speak about Syrian immigrants,
Uh-huh.
right? Syria, Muslim country,
Uh-huh.
always fleeing to Christian countries. So what's the reason then?
Uh-huh.
Well, because we don't live still in the Middle Ages, whereas they conserve something and they still drag it on hundreds of years ago.
For me, theocracy is old school, but for them not.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But
Yeah.
here's the thing: you, being a 21st century human,
Uh-huh.
you can say, "All right, I can compare this now. We have knowledge of the past,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
This is nonsense."
Yeah, that's for
That's
me, but not for other. I'm like,
But also for your president, he can do that. He said, "Yeah, you Muslims,
nah,
get lost."
This is also another problem. Well, you talk about a lot of Indonesian problem now. The problem is like this. The religious people, they tend to follow their leader.
Sure.
And then when the leader say A, they can get a lot of people one time. You know, the biggest square in Indonesia, the we call it Tugu Monas. The Monas.
Alright, so square. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the biggest square in Indonesia.
Cool.
This Islam radicalist people, they have a demonstration there to write down the government, the governor of Jakarta, because the governor says something about.
You mean the mayor, right?
No, the governor of Jakarta. Jakarta is a capital city and it have governor.
Not a mayor.
Because Jakarta is also a province. There is a province of Jakarta, and then there is mayor of South Jakarta, North Jakarta is a big city.
Okay.
So the governor says something about Al Quran. He's not a Muslim. He's a Christian. And then actually people get easy with that at first, but you know the politician, they are try to politicalize.
Well, they have to be popular.
They have to be popular, and then they are have demonstration. They claim it's 7 million people. Which is bullshit. I mean, like that's seven Latvia country, right? 7 million people.
Yeah.
So I don't believe it's 7 million, but a lot of people they are going to that square, and then they are have demonstration as to bring down the governor.
Yeah.
And then the result is the governor go to jail for 2 years. We don't really have things with religion.
Yeah, but what was his conviction?
The conviction is like this. He said, "Don't get lied by the Al Quran." I mean,
so did he break some law?
Not really break some law actually. He said that in his political campaign, and well, some people get insulted, but I don't think it's something have to do with the jail. I mean, you know, it's like this.
But he was convicted.
He was convicted because you can see that the religious people in Indonesia have a very big mass.
Okay, but the judicial system is separated.
Sometimes it's separated, but sometimes judicial system have to follow what the popular things. You know,
that's funny.
That's what's happened in my country. That's a condition that happened in my country because.
See, that's why you need Swiss people running your government. It wouldn't happen. I'm telling you.
Well, the Swiss people.
Just look. Here's the thing. You want better circumstances? Yeah. Just vote for a referendum, and then you import some Swiss people.
The Swiss people doesn't know how to.
All your problems you described out the window, dude. I'm telling you.
No, it's not that easy. The Swedish people doesn't know how Indonesia works.
The Swiss people definitely don't know how Indonesia works, but if you give them enough time and enough incentives, they will do it better. I'm telling you, there has to be some type of evaluation for the quality of government, don't you think?
Yeah.
Meaning, in a sense, this politician wanted to do this and that. We wanted to
of course,
as well, and now we don't have it.
The thing is like this: our president now is, in my point of view now, the president now is doing better than before. I mean, the infrastructure is very important.
But what about the government?
Well, the government, the parliament is shit now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the parliament, the opposition. You know, like our parliament is like a telenovela.
The what?
Like a drama, telenovela, you know, soap opera.
Yeah, but that's all of politics. I mean, politics is just some personal interests coming together and rubbing off.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think Swiss people can.
The thing is like this: a lot of people vote for the people in parliament. A lot of people voting for the parliament.
Okay.
So that's why you cannot just banish the parliament because.
All right, get some Swiss people in the parliament as well.
And no one will vote them.
Just take them.
It's a democratic country. No one will vote them.
Indonesia is a democratic country. Are you sure?
Of course, we're a democratic country.
So why is your parliament so bad then? Because a lot
of people vote for them. The religious leader told them to vote, and then they just vote. They don't really have a good. I mean, like this. Indonesia is a. In my region, Java Island, it's very well connected. But a lot of island in Indonesia, you know, a lot of island in Indonesia, the Kalimantan, the biggest island there, have no rail station, have no railway, no train station.
But you don't need it. You have Wi-Fi.
Sometimes there is no Wi-Fi. Sometimes there is no electricity.
Damn. See, another reason to get some Swiss people.
The
I'm
thing is, no
telling
one
you.
will vote for them.
There's no place in Switzerland probably without Wi-Fi.
There is no one will vote for the Swedish people, because we also doesn't like the Western culture. Actually, this
Really?
yeah, this
But
religious people, are.
Yeah, but you probably all over in Indonesia are enjoying the fruits of Western traditions
Of
and
course.
cultures.
Well, this people is Arab-minded.
They're hypocrites.
I won't say that. I mean, it's not my right to say that.
Let's be honest. If somebody says something and then with his actions disproves himself, you have the right to call him a hypocrite.
Yeah, they are.
Whether he likes it or not doesn't matter.
Well, this
But
is
you have the
online.
right-
Dude.
Yeah, but whatever. I mean, I think not the whole Muslim nations, but basically most of modern day Muslims do recognize that their beliefs or their traditional religious beliefs are just some weird nonsense.
The thing is like this.
And
Okay.
all of those morals and how you should behave towards people and stuff like that, yeah, those are just good guidelines in general, right? They don't have to be attached to any religion whatsoever. But when it comes to those specific Shia or Sunni laws and whatever, I remember, I think a Russian once told me that he was visiting Iran or Iran.
Iran.
But when it comes to Iraq, they call it Iraq, right? Iraq, you don't call
Iran
it
and Iraq, I think.
Iraq usually.
Well,
Oh, whatever, you got the
Yeah.
point, right? So Iran, let's go with Iran. So he was visiting Iran, and he said, yeah, they are so sort of traditionally religious people, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then he said, but actually on the ground, the sort of young people, they don't care about this. They see through all the BS.
The thing is, the young
And I
people
think
in
it's
Indonesia
the same in
believe-
Indonesia.
No, not the same.
Then I feel for you.
Iranian people, they are not religious. The government is religious.
No. That's what I'm saying. The old people are really strictly
The old
religious.
people is religious.
Yeah, but the new people are modern, sort of.
The Iran, yeah.
Yeah.
Indonesia, no. Indonesian people, they are religious. I mean,
Even young people?
even young people, they are religious. They are vote for the Muslim candidates. They don't want to vote for another candidates if they are not Muslim. Some
But maybe,
Muslim people.
maybe it's just social programming.
They vote because
Here's my theory. If somebody has a smartphone, he won't be religious for long.
No, man, you don't know Indonesia.
Yeah, but I know smartphones.
Yeah, they have smartphones, but they listen to preaching in.
And internet. If they have smartphones and internet, of course.
Of
the
course,
combination.
yeah. But they're religious. The women wearing veil.
So?
Yeah, they're religious. I mean, they are religious. They want to be a good Islam people. They want to be a
On the outside. Within their own quarters, they're
like
probably
this,
just freaks.
I think this is
Just freaky,
the difference
deaky.
of East and West. The West people, they are more individualistic. Indonesian people, the
More
Eastern
collective.
people, they are more collective. So it's
Sure.
like they want to look good in.
Yes, that's what I mean. But what I'm saying is, even those people you are speaking about, even they will get corrupted by the Western morals and standards. They will get corrupted.
Well, but they don't.
They will get corrupted.
Yeah, they will corrupted. I mean, Indonesia is the biggest country that download porn.
What?
The biggest country, the biggest people that. The biggest porn downloader is in Indonesia.
The what?
The biggest porn, pornography.
So what about it?
Indonesia have the biggest people that download that.
The
biggest
download?
The biggest number of people that download porn is from Indonesia.
No, that's
You
not.
can
That's
check
not
it.
possible. It's America, or maybe the biggest country,
You can check
India.
in Google.
I've never heard of such a statistics at all.
That's Indonesia. Indonesia, one of the biggest.
How do you even search for it?
Well, I found it.
Most porn downloads?
Yeah,
do you
most
mean?
porn download in the world.
Most porn downloads country. Which country watches the most porn?
Yeah,
All right, I'm saying America.
Indonesia is one
There's
of.
there's no way America is C. C.
Well, can you say
What?
Indonesia in what rank? Because
Not even in the top 10, dude. India is 3. Yeah, well, this is not surprising. This is not surprising. This is not surprising. Actually, nothing from this is surprising.
I think by number Indonesia is.
Do you mean maybe per one person? Some individual statistic? Proportion of worldwide traffic.
Maybe you can look for you put Indonesia.
Well, maybe it's related to streaming.
Yeah.
Just watching, but not downloading. So how long does each country last? Time spent per visit.
How long is Indonesia?
There's no Indonesia. Not even mentioned.
That's strange.
Most viewed categories: lesbian. Maybe. Yeah, let's try another link. So the countries that watch the most porn are the ones.
Add Indonesia there. Most of the
countries here.
Indonesia,
yeah. Alright. So what was in here? So this is the mic. Yeah. So the countries that watch the most porn aren't the ones you would expect. According to PornMD, some of the 10 most searched terms in Iraq, Syria, Egypt, and Iran include blowjob, creamy squirt, and Arab. In Iraq, the word pain was the 4th most searched term. In Egypt, mother and mom both make the list. So global 10 searches.
The one that Indonesia there? Is that any result for Indonesia?
Where is it?
That's strange because I just read that.
Indonesia is not even mentioned here. So let's see what this one brings up. So most porn downloads country, Indonesia. Nothing, I guess. The quality Indonesian movies you have to watch. Oh.
Okay.
Well, but does Indonesia have a porn industry?
No.
Well, then it's really difficult for you to be anywhere near number 1 when it comes to consumption. Because usually it's more related to the places where they originate the content.
Okay.
So yeah, all those Western countries, because you saw that. America, Britain, Germany.
They have
actually Germany, actually Japan should have been there. I'm not sure whether or not it was. Let's see where Japan was. Not in the list. But Japan produces a lot of content, yeah. So a map of the countries that watch the most porn. The US, Iceland, yeah. So the countries watching the most porn. So blue, I don't know. Maybe you didn't even maybe they didn't really consider these countries. It has no data.
Also because the size of the country. I mean, Indonesian people is 200 million people.
All right, but India would be 1.5 billion.
I mean, like it's also like if you put like Italy,
oh look,
Brazil,
list of countries by racism. Nice.
Okay.
Okay, so 10 quality Indonesian movies. Nope. Yeah, dude. Oh, so again, who are the biggest consumers of online porn? Yeah, except whatever. So, no. That's something different. Countries with biggest shares of adult websites. Iraq, number 1. See, Japan, Germany, yes. No Indonesia here. Longest average session time. Indonesia, look at it here. You are at least one of the longest watching.
Yeah, I think that's one that I.
Countries.
I think that's one that I.
But Kuwait beats you guys. See, Kuwait, Singapore, Saudi Arabia, all of those Arab countries. That's so funny. See, but they are hypocrites. That's what I'm saying.
I will not say anything about them because.
But it is hypocrisy.
It's sensitive topic
yeah,
in my country.
But it is hypocrisy to go out.
You want the one to say that, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, all those. Nice. And so countries with the highest numbers of pages viewed. Hong Kong somehow takes the cake. Yeah, countries with smallest shares of adult websites. Oh, I don't get the statistic then. This is the least? Yeah, because Australia doesn't need. They just watch the British or American.
Okay.
I guess so. Countries with the highest bounce rate. What does that mean? I don't know really. shortest average Russia and Bulgaria. Nice. All right. So yeah, at least we found one
Yeah.
where Indonesia is somehow in the statistics. But yeah, what I mean is, to the 21st century and all the technology involved with it has actually been a great blessing and a sort of a sort of like an unwheeling process, right? They show humans as not as they try to portray themselves to be, but as actually they are, right? Because I remember there was once somebody either showed it or just spoke about it, but they were speaking about the United States, and they somehow showed that the most frequent and biggest traffic for porn was in the most conservative and most religious states of the United States.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the same logic.
I mean, Indonesia is religious, that's why, you know.
It's the same logic. Yeah. But see, that's the weird thing. If you restrict somebody, if you make them sort of adhere to some some weird rules, it's like the forbidden fruit effect, sort of.
That's why I stopped being religious. I mean, I don't need all those kind of thing anymore. I mean, I know what to do. I'm grown up. I know what to do. I know. I don't need someone from above to tell me you have to do this and you have not to do that. I mean, I'm a free person. Yeah,
you have the freedom to choose your own responsibility.
Yeah, right.
Yes. But that's because probably you were influenced by some probably Western media, culture, people.
Well, I think it's
you had to have some inspiration somewhere. You have to have some impulse.
I mean, like this,
when you were growing up. Did you watch some?
Indonesian education itself is Western education.
Really?
I mean, we are occupied by the Netherlands for a long time, so.
See, that's where the Dutch have done something.
Yeah, of course. Nice. I mean, our law system is based on Dutch law system. Yeah, I mean, and we just cannot separate it at all. The curriculum that's very popular in Indonesia now is a Cambridge curriculum.
So what does that mean?
The education. The education is, many people wants to have like English style education. So the Western education
makes for an interesting image, I guess. But for the 21st century, you don't need any Cambridge nor any sort of those old school systems.
Well, parents think they need. Parents think they need. That's because it's value, something to stick to. Yeah, I mean like this. Yeah, the Western culture, of course, is very influential in Indonesia. We
do you have a McDonald's, right? You have McDonald's.
Everything.
Yeah. So it's all good.
We have everything in Indonesia. I mean, it's like
no need to complain then.
Of course, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Western influence is very strong. We watch Hollywood movie. We watch Netflix and other stuff.
Here's the thing. I would have guessed that you have more of a Bollywood influence, simply because it's quite near, right?
Yeah.
But you don't.
We have some Bollywood influence, but not so. I mean, I think the Hollywood influence is more thick in Indonesia.
Even for the Muslim people?
Well, it's always in box office. The Marvel things, it's always in box office. And then Leonardo DiCaprio movies, always there. We watch Western movies, yeah.
Here's my racism kicking in. I always assumed that people who are ethnically different would like to see their quote-unquote heroes similar to them. Because Leonardo DiCaprio probably doesn't look like any Indonesian dude.
Of course, no. Yeah, well, we watch Japanese movie too. Japanese
movies? Oh, yeah. Sounds funny.
Anime?
Oh, you mean animated movies? Sure.
And some, but it's never. I mean, like the Japanese movie, like the theater movie. It's always Western movie, always Hollywood or English movie. Yeah. Well, it was since.
But you are so many people. You should have your own cinema industry.
We have Indonesian movie. We watch Indonesian movie too, but still the one that dominate the theater is still Western movies since years.
So what do you think? What's the way to make good money in Indonesia? Let's say if
make
I
a
would,
soap opera.
well, but that's a big budget project. What would be
Not a big budget project.
lean way of making money in Indonesia?
Be a freelancer, like me.
No, well, all right. So what would be a nice way of not being there and still making money from Indonesia?
Not being there, you mean
Yeah, so sort of online business or something like that.
if you are become YouTuber? I mean, well,
you
you don't want to live in Indonesia, but you want to make money in Indonesia.
I think yeah.
that?
I think because you are a big possibility for an audience, right?
Sorry.
You are a big crowd,
Uh-huh.
so if you can attract some percentage of a big crowd, it's a big group.
Yeah, I think make porn. You know, the porn
Yeah,
industry.
but then you would have to tell me what are the specific topics those hypocrites are interested in. Is it I don't know, Arab lesbians? Arab lesbians.
Maybe
you just
Arab
combine
lesbians.
them together.
Yeah. Maybe something like that. You
Arab
know,
lesbians should be pretty easy to do, right? Because any girl who looks remotely Arab, you can just call the Arab.
Yeah.
That should be possible pretty easily. Any other suggestions?
To make money in Indonesia?
Yeah. What's the up and coming industries that make a lot of money?
I think the biggest industry in Indonesia now that makes money is soap opera. They have stripping, you know.
But then it's a little bit weird because usually it's not the content that gets the money. It's usually the producers who attract the commercial advertisers. Right. So it's not the product that sells.
Our soap opera is very bad. It's the worst soap opera you will see.
What is a good soap opera?
I think the Netflix series.
But those are not soap operas.
Okay.
Those because here's the thing: people like to make fun of all those Mexican and Brazilian soap operas as well. But that's what they're designed for. They are supposed to be not a real representation of life. They are supposed to be an exaggeration for a dramatic effect.
Yeah.
And then you have movies. You have sort of serious. Right, that are just more supposed to tell a story and be more lifelike, right? So that's what would be Netflix or movies. But when it comes to soap operas, it's always meant to be.
Yeah.
It's like in the theater. When you go to the theater, nobody talks in real life like they do on the stage.
Yeah, of course.
Right? But it's sort of.
It's like this. How could Indonesian soap opera income like this? We have soap opera that the episode is until 1,000. So
but you mean one episode? So you make a season with 15 episodes, quite a money.
I think there is no season anymore. It's like they just strip the movie until people get bored. Until if the people still like it, if the rating is still high, they will make it until 10,000.
What's the sort of average salary in Indonesia?
About.
What would you guess?
500 USD. That's the average.
Well,
the lowest is 200, and then the average is 500, I think.
That's not really encouraging, because in Latvia, the minimum wage is I think 430 euros. The average wage might be around 800.
Sorry? 800?
The average salary would be somewhere around 800.
Okay.
Maybe 900, but
okay.
I'm doubting.
Yeah.
And I think Indonesia has oil.
Everything in Indonesia is cheap.
And I think Indonesia has oil.
Has oil, of course. We have a lot of mineral.
Yeah. See, so doesn't make sense. You should be rich.
Yeah, because they corrupted.
Yeah, but not your current president.
Well, our president is just managed country for 5 years. The people before, the government, the parliament, the minister before, the years, we are already independent for 74 years now. Our Independence Day is in next 2 days. In 17 August, it's our Independence Day. And the corruption things you
have a nice date for an Independence Day, because it's probably always good weather.
Yeah, always good weather. I mean, Indonesia always have good weather.
We have in November, It's always rainy, always dark.
Well, Indonesia is a tropical country, so
Yeah.
the weather is always good all the year.
Oh, you don't even have snow? I thought Indonesia
No!
had mountains.
We have, of course, there is the tallest mountain in Indonesia, Jaya Wijaya, have snow there, but only
But
in
only
that
there.
place,
Okay.
and it's far away from everywhere. So
Okay.
yeah, there is no snow. It's tropical island. It's summer all year.
And yet you are complaining. Dude.
Not me that complaining. Well, we are complaining about our government. Government is very bad.
Well,
The parliament is very bad. Yeah.
well, does your opinion really sort of affect what should be necessary? Because in a sense, you are concerned with yourself, right? You're concerned with yourself. You take responsibility for yourself. So your opinion is not really related to any other person. You are just commenting, basically, right? Oh yeah, it seems to me that they are a bad politicians, bad government, but in a general sense, they are not so bad that you are not able to take responsibility for yourself, right?
Well, like this, if you do Indonesian politics, it's really bad. You know, people, the politician is doing some. It's like Donald Trump doing stupid jokes.
All
in
right,
Twitter.
but what is your impression of Donald Trump? Because
My
I like it
impression-
mostly.
You like Donald
Yeah,
Trump?
yeah.
Okay, well.
No, I'm not saying I'm liking the image he's being portrayed at, but I like the fact that there's such a character as Donald Trump. I like it. I think it's very, very healthy for a society to have actually representation that is more realistic about, because he's impulsive, right?
I'm not really know about American policy, so.
Well, you do. You are from Indonesia. You are being affected by American politics probably for the past 60 years.
Yeah, of course, but I don't like Donald Trump.
Yeah, but you see what the media or the news are showing, so you know some things related to him.
I know some things related to him. Well, I mean, he just tried to please people that vote him. Of course, he has a big Zionist voters.
What voters?
Zionist voters, yeah.
That's interesting. Why did you choose to relate him to Zionist voters? That's sort of that's a Muslim thing, right? To blame it on the Zionists.
Well, our country is with Palestine.
What?
Indonesia is with Palestine.
With the Arabs, just in general, right? Or with the Muslims, I guess.
Well, it's like this. The
Muslims support Muslims.
Something like that, but I'm not a Muslim, but I see that like this. Well, I'm into the. For my opinion, the best is the two-state country.
You mean in Israel?
In that area, there is Israel and Palestine, and that's already happened now. And
here's my thing. I think nature is governed by power laws, meaning whoever has the most effective power is right.
Yeah,
and I think
right.
Israel has the most effective power. So get lost, Palestine. You are not a real country.
Yeah, that's happened.
It's not that I'm saying that Palestine should be that the Palestinians should be eradicated in general. No, but they should move.
I feel like Palestine.
I mean, why would you?
Palestine is occupied by Israel. I mean, their land is they used to live there for thousands of years, and suddenly Israel comes and they occupy the land and they make the border and everything.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. If your circumstances
because they have power,
but that's what I mean. If your circumstances change, I mean, it's like because I think Jakarta had a real big tsunami, right?
No, in Aceh, not Jakarta. It's in another part of Indonesia.
So yeah, you had some natural disasters,
2004,
right?
yeah.
Yes, it was worldwide news, I think. And the most ridiculous thing would be to do is to just still live there, right? Of course you can go.
Yeah, of course.
Of course you can go travel there or something like that, but you don't lose everything and then build the exact same thing at the same place. It's just ridiculous. If the circumstances change, it means you have risks. So the risk to benefit ratio has changed. If you would be constantly under Israeli pressure for you to still stay there and just say, well, morally I'm right. Dude, I cannot in any possible way call that a smart move. Because if there are problems and you have the risks of almost dying, yeah, let's just move 100 kilometers. Let's just move some 100 kilometers away and be safe and be nice. And then from the outside, try to impact maybe on a United Nations level and whatever, what have you, right? But you do it with some smart moves, not just by just being, what's the word? Well, just being headstrong. No, I'll stay here. You don't have the right to come near me. Doesn't get you anywhere.
I think that's the sense of patriotism. I don't know.
I don't think so.
Because like this.
But here's the thing. I like the fact that there is American foreign politics that wants to sort of like a hegemon bring all their influence all over the world. I like that. And I like the Arabs just don't giving a rat's ass about the Jews and calling them all sorts of names. Because it's so in a world that sometimes becomes too politically correct. It's so refreshing to just see, we hate the Jews, right?
Well, I mean like this. Zionist is not the Jewish ethnic. It's different. I don't hate Jews.
I see what you mean, but usually the at least Israelis are probably 90% Zionists in the sense that they support the Zionist movement.
Well,
but if you don't include them in it, I see what you mean. Then you are just against some privileged elites.
Yeah, I mean like this. The Zionists come from America. I mean they are the one that give money to make
sure. I think
make the country of Israel.
I think Zionists come from Britain originally. Because I think
I think Golda Meir is from America, right? Golda Meir.
Who?
Golda Meir, the first prime minister of Israel, is from America. It's the one that they are gathering money.
Well, yeah, but Zionism was a movement before there was even a country of Israel.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But I think it comes from Britain originally, sort of. At least it was manifested. Let me just check.
Well, it's somewhere in the West, I think.
Zionism. So the term Zionism, damn, it gets a little bit. So history. Zion is a hill near Jerusalem. In the 17th century, someone announced himself as the Messiah. In the 19th century, current in Judaism, particularly in Europe, where anti-Semitism and hostility. Oh man, that gets a little bit.
Yeah, that's very long.
So there was a conference. There was a conference in the 19th century, for the restoration of the Jewish state. And yeah, some continental Europe. All right, let's just see. Creating an alliance with Great Britain and securing support for some Jewish immigration to Palestine, Zionists also recruited European Jews to immigrate there. So it was more related to Europe.
Okay.
And Britain was then just a big lobbyist, I guess. But modern day Zionists are more or less acting out of America, yes. Yeah. But it still doesn't really matter. It's still the same ideology.
Yeah. I mean like this.
But why wouldn't you sort of tolerate that ideology? That's one thing I understand. The Zionist ideology, because the Zionists just want the chosen people to be in their homeland, right? That's sort of the essence.
No, I mean like this. Well, it's about Trump. When Trump say about the Jerusalem is the capital of Israel.
Yeah, I thought it also. It didn't.
Because Palestine also claimed Jerusalem is the capital of their country.
Yeah, but whatever. Palestine is not even a country. See, I think in simple terms, if you have had the past 1,500 years to establish yourselves and you didn't, then you're just a hobby, not a country. That's it.
Well, when you talk with the Palestine like that, they will not accept that, of course.
Well, look, here's the other thing. If people want everybody to be really, really sensitive about other people's feelings, that's great.
Yeah.
But it won't work historically because nature doesn't care about feelings. Nature just acts again
survival
by
of the fittest,
power laws.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
If an elephant comes here, we are screwed. Right?
Yeah.
It's not like, oh no, you are infringing on my border. No, not at all.
Yeah.
But if I have a gun, all settled.
Yeah, well, that's just my opinion actually. I mean, like, well, we know that survival of the fittest. Everyone, it's not about the strongest, but the one that can survive, that will sustain.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If Palestinians do consider themselves morally,
well, they have. I mean, like this, they have the sense of patriotism. That's their country, and they want take back their country. I don't know in what way.
I think it's the same logic.
Even the Arab now is with Israel.
I think it's the same logic as you mentioned in Indonesia, where the Muslims just act blindly because their leader told them to. I think it's the same type of logic. People don't really think for themselves. Well, I'm sure there are plenty of Palestinians who actually figured it out, moved somewhere else, are still supporting the cause of Palestine, but are safe themselves. They don't risk their
but
lives.
they want that land. I mean, well, it's not my problem actually, but it's their problem.
Because
they want that land. I mean, like,
yeah,
why?
because some ancient text says so.
Why Israel then just occupy land in Australia? It's the biggest land. It's a bigger land. I mean, there is a lot of,
Oh no, because that territory of Palestine used to be under the mandate of
God,
of Britain, and I think before that someone else. But Britain was the one who during the times of the League of Nations, before the organization before the United Nations. Right, they already were trying to establish Israel in that place because it was the mandated territory from Britain.
Why Britain don't give the land of Australia? Maybe, I mean, like, it's a bigger land.
No, because it wasn't their mandate territory. I don't know why they.
The mandate from who?
I think Syria, Iraq, Israel. If I'm not mistaken, even Egypt, and might be Lebanon, was under the rule up till the 19th century, end of the 19th century, for Germany, France, Britain. I think that's it. Probably 3 countries.
Well, I need to learn about that again.
Yeah,
because
but the thing is, there was no such thing as in the 19th century and starting the 20th century. There was Ottoman Empire, there was the British Empire. Everybody was empires.
I mean, like this.
So all those places, like the Palestinian territory, they were just sort of like a colony,
another empire,
like a colony.
Yeah, I know.
So it wasn't an autonomous region.
Yeah.
And so after the World Wars, they figured everybody should be their own countries. And so now the problem starts.
I think Israel claimed that land because it was in their Torah. God has given the land to them. That's why they claim that land.
It's definitely described that way, but nobody can dispute that Jews have probably lived there for I don't know how many years, next to the Arabs. It's not like they just went from, I don't know, Brazil to Israel and said, this is now our place. No. Culturally and historically, they were in that region.
2,000 years ago.
No, not really 2,000 years ago. I mean, of course, Jews were scattered all over the place, right? But so were Arabs. Arabs are not one nation.
Yeah, Arabs were not one nation. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so it's sort of the same thing because the total difference is Jews are smarter. Just objectively. Wait a second. Kaut kas steidzams? Halo? Tā pilnīgi vienalga, viens un pats. Nu jā. Nē, tur no man skatu punktu vienalga, jā. Labi, jā. So that's what I'm saying. I think Jews have proved themselves to be superior at least intellectually, during the past 500 years.
Yeah, I mean, like, to say some ethnic is superior in.
Well, I'm not saying ethnic, I'm saying culture. It's a big difference whether or not your culture actually encourages you to progress or to stay the same. There are cultures who do want you to progress, to question the status quo, to explore new territories, new thoughts, new ideas, new options. And then there are those cultures who just want to stay at the same, have some banana leaf over their junk, right, and eat the same coconuts for thousands of years. I'm not going with those.
Well,
I'm going with the dudes who
I don't know the culture
invent something.
I know the culture of Jewish people. Well, I cannot say anything about that, but maybe I mean they have. I mean, between Israel and Palestine now, the Israel is the winner now.
Yeah, simply because they have more clout.
Yeah.
So again, power law.
Yeah.
Dude, don't go against the grain. If because that's what I understand. Because it's not about Israel advocating genocide of Arabs. They might want to, but they're not saying it, right? But they want the territory, so go ahead. I don't get it. I mean, if you speak about the Palestinian topic, I don't get it. Because if the people want to free themselves of some oppression, just move. Nobody's forcing you to stay there.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like saying that Syrians are still patriots because they emigrated to Scandinavia.
I get from the Palestinians that I met. I mean, like, they just say it's about the sense of patriotism. I mean, they think it's their land. That's why they want that. And
if you want to be a patriot, you should do what is best for your country, right? And definitely not the best for your country is to die early.
Again, it's not my problem. It's not my problem. It's their problem.
I guess so. How did we come to Palestine actually? Because of the Muslims, I guess.
I went to Israel.
Oh no, you meant you didn't like Zionists, right? That was the reason.
I don't say that. No, I don't say I don't like. I don't say that I don't like Zionists. I don't like Trump.
No, but you said you don't like Zionists.
Well, maybe you can check. I forgot. I think I don't like Trump because Trump is try to licking their voters, and of course all politicians try to licking their voters. Okay.
Yeah, but see, if Trump is favoring,
it's like this. I criticizing a nation that was intimidated by another nation. The Jewish people, they was intimidated by Nazi, and then they are come to Palestine and they are intimidated that nation, the Palestine nation.
Oh, but the Jewish nation wasn't intimidated by Nazis. It's just a sort of a historical story, but I mean, Jewish people were all over the world. It's not like
the European Jew. The European Jew are intimidated by Nazi.
I don't know.
The Holocaust thing. Do you believe in Holocaust?
Well, I'm not saying that it didn't happen. I'm saying the antipathy towards Jews and the Jewish culture has been around for at least 200 years in Europe. The reason being that Jewish people probably messed something up. In general sense, because if you are excluded from government positions because you are, say, you are not the right religion, and you have to go into just specific fields of professions, right? You have to do some people some favors to get their approval. If they didn't do that, then overall, of course, everybody would say, yeah, oh, you Jew, you screwed me over, oh, you Jew, right? But it's, again, I don't see it as an ethnicity thing. I don't see it as a racist thing. I see it as a cultural thing. If history was politically motivated by certain decisions and people followed those decisions more or less, then historically and generationally, of course, they developed some form of skills or some form of some disproportionate amount of options, right?
Yeah, I think like this. Jewish people are tough people. I mean, they get hated. I mean, like this. After the Christianity become dominant in Europe, I think they got persecuted anywhere, and that's what make them tough, I think.
I don't know about the toughness, because look, here's the thing. That's also a Jewish. I think if I'm not mistaken, a Jewish cultural thing. Always
What
try
is
to make yourself as the victim. Have the high moral ground.
Oh, they always try to victimize themselves.
Yes.
Okay.
In the historical context. I think that's a narrative.
That's the narrative.
That's a narrative that
I
they
can
want.
see the pattern now. Yeah, you're right.
No, what I mean is it has a certain well, you cannot blame me for this. You cannot blame me, right? I'm always the victim. So I'm not saying that they make themselves always suffer. I'm not saying that. But if you can control the narrative, you can attach many things. Because nobody in a general society, at least nowadays, doesn't wake up and say, a good day to hate on some Jews. But the quote-unquote Jewish-controlled media always tries to portray some comments or some actions as, these were anti-Semitic.
You're right.
It's not really related.
That's very interesting. This is, mind-blowing for me. I mean, like, if you learn from history, you're right. The narrative of Jews, they are always victimized. They are get banished by their homeland, and then they get banished from the Spain, from the the Inquisition, and then they got Holocausting, and then.
Because what I like about the topic of Jews and Holocaust is the fact that people have tried to bring together different statistics and different sort of facts. And I remember seeing in one documentary that there was a dispute about, because there's no dispute that people were dying in concentration camps. There's no dispute about that. But the magical figure seems to always be 6 million. And somebody had done a documentary saying that 6 million is not a real number. 6 million is something that came out of some religious
Symbolism.
Sort of, yes, because after 6 million, then the Jews get their promised land or something like that. And so, because what they did was trace back different news articles and different news stories, and they compared them with the ones after the Second World War with the ones after the First World War. Because what happened after the First World War, there was also an initiative to establish Israel. But the League of Nations, they sort of dismantled. The League of Nations didn't survive as an organization. So the concept of establishing Israel also with it. So then comes the Second World War, and again the people show it's the same numbers, it's the same news stories. So, and now after the Second World War, the United Nations gets established. Israel gets established. So the promised land is here because 6 million. But they were disputing the number, because what they did was collect the worldwide census for Jews. I mean, it's probably not really accurate, but still they tried to see how many Jews in the world there were. Before the war, after the war. And what they've figured out was that actually there were more Jews in the world after the war. So either the statistics were way off and nobody knew how many Jews were dying without even being recognized as Jews, or it's just a matter of fact that the 6 million is more like a symbol, more like a political argument rather than a real statistic, right? But there's no disputing about people dying in concentration camps. It's just about, well, what is there to gain by touting a specific number. And so they traced that specific number to some old religious texts or some, I don't know if it was a Torah, but they just
when you talk about the media coverage, it's really interesting because the 6 million number itself, I mean, it's a big number, but that's not the biggest number. I mean,
well, there are a lot of
even the massacre of communism in Indonesia, I think the number is even more 7 million or 8 million.
It's a puny number compared to different genocides.
I mean, but it's about the media coverage. I mean, the media is always come up with a number, and then the world need a common enemy. They make Hitler as a common enemy.
Well, everybody who loses the war.
Sorry?
Everybody who loses the war.
Yeah, of course. Everybody who loses the war. I mean, like, if you say, like, Genghis Khan, he killed, like, 30 million people in his conquest in, I think, Russia or in China. I'm not sure. But 30 million people. But Genghis Khan now, people will think Genghis Khan as a hero.
Well, but there's the big difference, and I guess that also establishes a precedent for future problems. There was no communication back then. There was no real media or television back then. The Second World War was the first World War that was watchable, right? You could see it on TV screens. You could hear it on radio. You can have communications about the thing.
Okay,
so
go for it, right?
Yes, yeah. But there's the social narrative aspect, and then there's just the social engineering aspect. I don't know why, for instance, they have to portray every news story as almost like a mini novel.
Mini novel.
Like a mini novel, yes. So there's some bad guys and good guys, and you have your problems, your culminations, and your
that's history. I mean, you need
resolve.
that. You need the bad guy as the.
Yeah, but that, I don't
loser,
see. Yeah, but I don't see the reason why. I get why you should do that when you first establish the medium of television or the first medium of radio. But in the 21st century, it sounds so just superfluous, because nowadays you can just go on the internet. If somebody tells, let's say Russia today has some news story that sounds really, really awkward towards a particular thing, you could just double check it on the internet. No big deal.
But like this, in school, if you in school here, I mean, if you are going to school, are they still portray Soviet or Russia as a bad guy or not? When you are, I don't know.
Well, we in Latvia for sure, because we were the victims of Soviet terrorism.
Yeah, I think like this kind of to have bad guy, good guy is for to have.
But that's the weird thing also, because a lot of people from Latvia, being Latvians, collaborated with the Soviets. So yeah, I mean, Latvia has definitely a position of a victim from the Soviet Union, right? Even though a lot of things were happening with the specific supervision of Latvians.
Okay, yeah.
See?
Yeah. So the Latvian is also.
I mean, it's like telling my neighbor is my enemy, even though actually I'm the enemy sometimes to myself.
Yeah.
But then again, nobody really, because here's the thing I don't get: why should we actually establish ourselves as a particular team?
You need common enemy.
Yeah, I don't know why we need a particular
You need common
team.
enemy because for have this strong of unity, the strong of patriotism, because
no, look, I think that's the same. That's hypocrisy. I'm telling you.
Yeah, of course, it's hypocrisy.
Yeah, because you say things that are socially acceptable, but you do things that are actually socially harmful, and people are. It doesn't matter whether it's religion, politics, economy, what have you. I mean, the only way how we can actually try to avoid it is to learn how to recognize those
most
patterns.
People are simple-minded. Most people
Yeah, but I think
understand.
but I think it should be also simple to recognize it. It's just a matter of whether or not we pay attention to it. Because there has to be some form of clue that actually lets you know, oh, this might be a hypocrite.
Well, some people doesn't have that. I mean, intellectual
you
level
don't,
of
you
people
don't
are
pay
different.
People don't pay attention. I mean, if somebody would have asked me 5 minutes into our discussion, let's say you go out to the room, outside of the room, and 5 minutes after we started our conversation, asked me what was on his shirt. I don't know. I didn't pay attention to it, right? But then at one point, just out of coincidence basically, just look at that, right? But I didn't really pay attention up till then. So it's not me to blame that I was simple-minded, right? In a sense, I just didn't pay attention. If you would have come in and say, "Hey, look at this shirt," right? You would already attracted my attention towards it.
Like this, maybe sometimes the government wants to make people keep ignorant. Maybe like this, because like
here's the thing. I agree that it makes sense. I agree that it makes sense. but I've seen too many things go bad just because people were lazy
I
or
don't know what happened
incapable,
here.
incompetent. So whenever you say the government wants you to be this or do that, right? You imply that they are so smart that they can actually do something like that initially and intentionally, right? Whereas what I'm saying is, nope, they are just lucky of the situation and they might not try to change it because it's suitable to their interests.
Maybe like this. At first, they're just lucky for the situation, but after they found the situation is
They
beneficial for them, they will just continue that.
They don't do anything about it.
Yeah, because it's beneficial for them.
Intentionally, yeah, that might be the
It's
case.
intentional. I mean, like,
Yeah, but they are not to blame for the situation. They are to blame for not resolving.
Yeah, I mean, like this. The stupid soap opera in my country, it's running for 8 hours a day. It's always on prime time, and then.
Okay.
If our country want to make our country can make a regulation for give the education topic in the prime time, but they never do that.
But you don't need it, man. You have the internet. If you
Not
want
everyone
to.
have internet in Indonesia. I mean, like this. In Indonesia, I told you there is a lot of people, a lot of part of country that is still remote. That is still only the first.
See, that's the yeah. But then that's a problem. How do
That's
you
a problem.
connect the people?
Yeah, I mean, like this. It's a big country,
But not
and
about
then,
education on TV, whatever. But just
like
connect
this.
the people.
In Indonesia now, the biggest communication means is still television. It's still television. Not like it's very different with Europe. Not everyone watching YouTube in Indonesia. So if the government wants to do a better education in Indonesia, they should put education on TV on the prime time. But they just let the television program, the television station have their own program and not so close regulation and things. So I think like this.
So you believe that the government can change something with their regulation?
Of course, you have power to do that.
I don't know. If somebody makes a regulation and nobody follows it.
The television station have to follow that.
Yeah, I see what you mean, but up to a certain degree, because otherwise it will be the same as with your mentioned politician, governor,
I mean, like this,
who did everything that he was able to do as a governor, and yet the majority somehow got him indicted.
Yeah, because he's not a Muslim.
Yeah, but see, it's not related
But
to
the
any
most
regulation.
politician in Indonesia is Muslim. Our president is Muslim. So
Dude, but what I'm saying is, it wasn't really related to a religion. It was related to whether or not the people like what he represents. So he was actually a victim of the people's opinion. So it didn't really matter to the people whether or not he was acting lawfully. They just wanted him out, and so he got what he apparently, according to them, deserved. Right? So you see,
well, like this.
he could have made a regulation that says you cannot touch me.
Like this.
Right?
The governor is a very delicate matter because he's a Chinese and he's a Christian. He's a double minority. That's why I mean, like, if your governor is if your president is Islam and not
I think all Asians are quite racist, right?
Yeah.
They like to discriminate a lot.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I mean, like this. If your president is a Japanese, a majority, and Islam a majority, it's not that easy to break him down like the governor. I mean.
Yeah, but why do you go into such fields where you have such a resistance?
You mean me or who?
No, him.
The governor.
He knew that the majority was against him.
Well, because he's just arrogant. He's just arrogant. I mean, like you
win, you lose sometimes. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, like, so yeah, that's why this is just an example. He's an arrogant governor, and then after that, he doesn't really want to have a good relationship with some religious figure because he thinks he's the one that writes, and then that's why he lose. I mean, our president now, he know how to play the card. He done the governor and the president used to be the pair for the president before is the governor of Jakarta. After he become president, this governor become the governor. They have a close relationship before.
Very good. They trust each other.
But I don't know. It's politics. So it's like the president doesn't really help him because he doesn't want to stain his name. Because if he help the Christian governor, it will give a bad impact for the president now. Okay. So that's why he play his card. Okay. So our president now, why he sometimes just follow the popular votes, not the popular votes, what the people said, what the majority said, because he try to play safe now. And then but about the television thing, it's different thing. I mean, it's not about sensitive things, you know. It's entertainment. It's not about religion. If the president,
Well, but no. But look, if you entertain people, you have them sort of distracted. If you have them educated and informed, then you might get them thinking.
That's the third problem of Indonesia. We are not educated.
No, but what I'm saying
The education
is
is bad in Indonesia.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that if you have the options to actually educate yourselves, then it's a matter of
you have option to educate
enthusiasm.
yourself if you have the means. If you don't
What
have
do you
the
mean
means,
If you have the internet,
not everyone have internet. If you are,
then well, that is a minimum.
so yeah, that's
yes.
that's a default
You have
look,
to
you know.
be at least educated enough to know that you need the internet. Yes.
You know, some
Yes.
people are victim of system. You know, some part in Papua they don't even have electricity. They still have tribal people that wearing leaves to cover their junk. So how you can educate yourself that way?
But they don't need the internet. They don't have any problems. Those people just live their daily lives and
No, they're exploited.
eat some berries.
And they're exploited.
In what way?
Uh,
Those people are very economically not relevant.
Man, you don't know anything about Indonesia.
But I know about economics and people. If they are not developed as a group,
It's like this.
you don't have any majority interests related to those people who are not really even civilized. It's just not.
Sorry, again. Sorry, you are.
You don't have any economic stakes with people who are not civilized. Those are just like animals.
To educate people.
Not at all. Only
it's
if you need.
It's in our state. It's
all
in
right,
our.
all right, but again, only if you need a specific task.
If you want to say about power, yes. I mean, like, I think the government is keep them stupid,
It seems
so
to
they can
be-
exploit them. They can exploit the mineral that they have.
It seems to me that a lot of people think too much of their governments, what they are supposed to do or not.
Well, the thing is like this: in Indonesia, not people live in equal condition. Some people are very poor. Some people are not educated. Some people are not
Yeah, but
not
see,
civilized.
that's the problem. We could be all equal as penguins, and still we would find somebody being more skilled, more.
Well, this is very, like here
Yeah.
and here. It's like some people like live a jet set life, like in Singapore, but some people live like in
Look,
no electricity.
It makes for a sad comment, but when it comes to the individual,
and how you don't blame the government for this? It's the
because they didn't create the jungle where the tribal people live. It's not like the government said you need to live in the jungle. No, it's what historically has occurred that people live in the jungle, and even with contact with civilization, they continue to live in the jungle. So you are basically, when it comes to economic point of view, you are basically like an zoo animal.
Okay.
You have seen people. You have seen we are talking on the phones and all of those things, and yet you still live like your grandparents did. All right, I'm not going to go and tell you
okay,
otherwise.
like this is what I know about the problem in my country.
Do you remember there was I think either last year or this year was a story that some Christian missionary went to a remote island and got killed.
Yeah.
Right.
The
Yeah. So
Sentinel
there
Island,
was. Yeah. What did you want? What did you expect from them? Right. They are.
He's naive. He want to Christianize them.
They're content with what they have. All right. But if, let's say, Zionists would figure out that they want the island, I wouldn't mind if the Zionists would go into the island and shoot those people.
Listen, the thing is like this: they don't content what they have. It's like this: they content if you don't put your waste to their stuffs. They put the waste on the river. They have the
because they are
there.
reckless. Yes, reckless.
Yeah, the miners is reckless. I mean, the one that have miners, the government there is reckless. They put their junk, their waste to the river, and then it's harm the life there, harm the ecology. That's why the tribal people there get angry, and then when they get angry, they got demonstration to the mining. The army is shooting them, with a gun.
Again, power laws.
Power loss, of course, power loss. But what choice that they have now? I mean,
Emigrate. Better than guns. Better than go
Thank you
against
so
guns.
much for your
Hey
advice.
man, Einstein during the Second World War, what did he do? Emigrate to America. Was the world the worst place because of that? I guess no. See what I mean?
Okay.
Sometimes you moving is the best for, in general, for all of humanity.
Yeah, maybe you can. I don't know how many population of Papua, but maybe you can check how can you can. Is there okay? Is there land? But you can say again.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that there are not miserable people who feel miserable in their places. I'm saying if you have time to feel miserable, you have time to react and change the circumstances. But you don't change circumstances by way of ideology or way of principles. You change your circumstances by way of most efficient decisions. So most efficient decisions.
Yeah, some people doesn't have not educated enough to do that. I think, or maybe they are not surviving enough to do that. I don't. I mean, like, I'm not them.
It's really
That's just my opinion.
It's
I mean, like, it's just what
it's-
I who live in Java with all facilities that I have to see them. I don't live like them. I don't know how they live, but
it's
that's
a
what I
question-
heard now.
I
What
think
I
it's-
know now.
I think it's a question of learned or
And
acquired
when you
psychology.
say that just immigrate, it's well, I don't know. It's,
Look, the reason why I'm saying is this because I think it's learned psychology, and the reason is because there is. I think the researcher is called Martin Seligman. He conducted several research studies, and one of the most famous one is electrocuting with small voltages dogs. So what he showed was that if you had two stations or two places, and in between you have a fence. You put a dog in one side, but that side is laced with electricity, so you can give him an electroshock, a minor shock, but still. If you put just a fresh dog, once you turn the electricity on, he jumps to the other side, and that's it, because the other side is safe. He jumps away, he feels safe, stays in that place. What he did was to actually take not just those type of dogs, but he also did some previous shocking for other dogs. So what he did was take a dog, put him in a chamber, electrocute him. The dog at first wanted to get away, but he couldn't. He got electrocuted.
I know the concept.
He became passive. So what he afterwards, he took that dog, put him in the same place with the fence, with the other position, started the electricity, and the dog stayed. He didn't jump away. He learned. That's why Seligman called it.
But do you believe that?
Dude, he called it learned helplessness. Learned helplessness. And I think people do have learned helplessness all over the world.
Well, I like this. Do you believe that your idea can help people somehow?
What? My idea?
Maybe your idea
No, example. Only examples can. People don't learn by ideas. People can get motivated by ideas only if they understand what its practical implication is. If you have seen somebody with courage standing up to somebody that's bullying him, you know what courage looks like. And so if you hear an idea about courage, you have your mental picture already in mind, and you can just synthesize upon that picture. If you haven't seen anything relating to courage, and somebody just says the concept, an idea of courage, you don't know anything what he's meaning.
Yeah.
You don't learn to ride a bicycle by reading.
Yeah, maybe when you talk about example, people that will say example as people that die for to protect their land from these people rather than just immigrate. It's a symbol of good things. I mean, they think
people have died for their football teams, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's silly.
Of course, it's silly, but
then
when
what
you
is
talk about the country, it's different matter.
What's the difference between a football club and a country?
Well, I mean, like
you
this.
have your anthem, you have your flag, you have your colors, you have your identity and sense of belonging to a group.
I know that, but
So, what's the difference?
Yeah, I mean like this. When you say that, it's the same thing, but people
No,
have this.
I'm saying it's the same psychological profile.
Yeah.
If you are attached with
You're
that,
attached with that, yeah, of
psychological
course.
profile, you are in deep doo-doo.
Mhm.
Because there's no rationality, there's no real
Because they're
smartness.
attached to their land. They believe that their land is them. Is them.
If you act out of principle or out of ideology, you are bound to get really, really screwed over. That's what I think.
Mhm.
I'm not saying that everybody will get screwed over all 100% of the time,
Mhm.
but I'm saying is if your main principles in life is just act out of ideology, you are an easy target. All I'm saying, easy target, because there are people, especially cosmopolitan people, smart people who don't give a rat's ass if they are in Monaco, if they are in France, if they are in China. They are just living human beings. They understand where they are standing in the world, and they act according to their self-interest. And if they have the moral fabric to not hurt anybody during the process of establishing their own interests, it's a win-win. Because if they feel more happier, somebody else might feel more happier.
What is moral for you? What is moral for you?
Anything you define it as moral. There's no objective morals.
Of course, but for you, what is moral for you?
Anything that is constructive for the general well-being.
And can you give example?
Well, not harming people without any reason to.
So if you are harming people, I mean like this. Well, I think
I'm not saying that I don't find the pollution to the native people immoral.
no, I mean like this. You believe in this kind of moral, but when you say if you are harmed, just move it from here. So
Yes, but that's what I'm saying. If you feel that's what I was saying about the Palestinians. If you feel such a patriot, you have to look at your options. You can stay, not get hurt, and maybe die. Then it's definitely a worse option than move away, get some capital and some resources, and try to lobby for your Palestinian interests.
I think like it's also like this,
Well, because here's the thing, that's a big difference. Zionists are so successful because they started early. You saw, even in the 17th and 18th century, they were already doing their thing, right?
Yeah.
So what did Palestinians do during that time?
Staying there. No,
See?
yeah.
See?
Do nothing, yeah.
The smart one gets the cookie.
I know that. I mean like this. When you say like this, just move away when you have this kind of moral.
But I'm not saying detach your identity from the land. I'm saying move when it's the most reasonable thing to do. And what do you define as the most reasonable thing to do? It's according to your circumstances. If you have the option to stay and die, or move away and fight outside for the reason you were intentionally wanting to stay, then it's the better option.
Of course, that's a better option if they. I don't
And
know
a
why
lot
they
of
don't-
people have done it successfully in the past. So if those people who still consider to stay,
Well, actually, like this.
they don't know about
Like this,
the
these
examples.
people that I
Just
told you
ignorant.
that in Papua, they want to have referendum, but the government doesn't want to give them referendum. They want
So?
to have the independent country.
So
actually.
yeah, an organized group like the Jews would think of ways how to influence the government.
Yeah, I don't know why they cannot.
Either
influence the
violently or non-violently, but they could come. If you are just sitting there complaining and not doing anything about it in the long term, dude,
Well,
I'm not saying the victim is responsible for his own problem, but I'm saying if the victim sees opportunities but doesn't seize them, meaning take them, use them, I don't feel any sympathy for them. I feel empathy. I don't like people being hurt, right? I don't like that. I feel the empathy, but I don't have sympathy for people who can actually change their circumstances, but they don't.
They try, and then the
what
country repressed them.
but what constitutes as trying? Just simply saying I don't like it. Yeah, of
I'm,
course you
I'm
can
not
say.
really I'm not really expert in this thing.
But
so
see,
this is the general thing that I know.
The determination and the will is what matters, because the will to survive, the will to live, the will to change, can move mountains.
Okay, like this. If you have to give advice to these people that now is repressed by the country,
Yeah.
the indigenous people of Papua that now repressed by the country and by the mining,
Yeah.
the gold mining, what the advice that will you give to them?
Consider what you have done for the past 20 years and do exactly the opposite.
Okay. Yeah, I will share that. So maybe they will. Maybe there are people have internet and they will think what you say. Yeah.
That's all that is. If you have a track record that is failing you, you
Because-
at some point you have to figure out another approach.
This is like this. I will give you the general view of what I think about what happened in Papua. This is the richest province in Indonesia, but people that live there is the poorest people. They live the lowest standard of life in Indonesia. And then it's like in 1960 after the global trading, the America have their share of this mining, and then from some report that I read, the Freeport, the name of the mining, is take 80% of the resource, and then 10% for the Indonesian government that time, and then 10% is for the local government, but I think it's corrupted. So the people, the indigenous people that live there, doesn't have nothing. For me, like the analogy is like this: this is a country, and you have region in your country. You act as a pimp to sell this region as a prostitute to another country.
Yes, that's economics 101.
Yeah.
And it takes a higher attitude to be more socially adapt. But we have the internet for what, maybe 20 years. Give it another 20 years and most of the people in governments will be attuned to the social benefit, because nowadays I think only Norway does the best. And
like this so again, what will you say to this victim, to this people that their region is become prostitute? What will you say again to them?
Learn from your mistakes.
Learn from your mistakes. Okay, thank you so much.
No, from your mistakes.
Yeah, from their mistakes, right?
Because apparently they themselves have made some mistakes.
Yeah, okay.
Or at least they did something that wasn't effective. But if they are not willing, I mean, I'm guessing they protest periodically.
Yeah.
Yeah, see you.
Until now, they still have the separatists that want to have their own country in that land.
Because if you are really so concerned in the long term, get your children educated, get them into the government, and change it from the inside. It might take you 50 years, but it's definitely better than just protest 50 times every year.
Yeah.
Same actions get you the same results.
Yeah. The thing is like this government is also, you're right. It's like it's maybe like 50 years or maybe more, because
like the Jews for hundreds of years.
I mean like this, the government system in Indonesia until now is still very corrupt. People try to change, but
but that's also pretty natural. If you have a starved person, you cannot even complain if he's indulging and feasting once he gets food.
I think like this. Maybe one thing that I really want for Indonesia to have is the capital punishment for the corruptors.
What do you think that would somehow?
That sentence.
Look, if
we have that sentence in Indonesia. It's only for the drug dealers.
But if you think about the most effective ways how to incentivize to be a better or socially more valuable person, it's almost always related to their self-own interest.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, so if you want the politicians to be more socially beneficial, try to see what are their self-interests and give it to them. Get them hooked on some perpetual feedback loop that they want to help other people because it benefit is
I think
benefiting
no one
them.
in Indonesia become politician because they want to help other people. They want to
Yeah, but that's the
get power and
but
money.
but that's the thing about that is what is challenging to figure out how to actually create such a long-term solution.
Yeah, well,
Because the reason why parents care for their children is so their children can grow up and maybe if the parents need it, can get some help from their children, right? So parents do raise their children out of selfish motives.
yeah, that's well.
Cooperation and synchrony and synergy has to be a win-win. If there are people who are willing to go great lengths to get power, the only way to actually use that intention for good is to incentivize them to act in a certain way. If they are after money, give them money.
Well, how much money is enough? There's no. I mean, like this.
Again, it's about incentives. If you don't give any incentives to be good, socially justified or just,
No, it's this about the system actually. I mean,
but the system are just people acting as people, coordinated or uncoordinated. But a system is not an abstract thing, right? It's just people, either coordinating or uncoordinating their actions. That's just people. The system is just people in different parts of a process.
I'm sure I will listen this conversation again and I will discuss it with my friends because yeah, sometimes it's really when people ask me what the solution that I have for Indonesian government, I don't have any. I mean, well, as an Indonesian that I affected by Indonesian political system that everything is like soap opera and things. I cannot see it clearly anymore. Maybe because you are an outsider, you can say this.
No, but maybe I'm just too harsh. But the only reasonable answer to the question what could be the solution to resolve problems in a country is for that same person who asks the question to actually do something about it themselves. See, it's not a solution if somebody else has to do the work.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so that's the problem with the sort of the discussions when people say, "Oh well, a politician or the government, it's just people, man." And that's what I wanted to try to tell the Brazilian and the Venezuelan dudes. It's just if you have if you at least have the knowledge about the possibilities of having internet access and having different kinds of information available, if you at least have the understanding of that, everything else should be related to your motivation. If you have the motivation, will seek out a way, right? But it's all up to the individual. And yes, I agree that if the individual hasn't been properly raised to believe that you can do something yourself, that you have the power, so to speak, yes, that might be some type of dog who's been electrocuted, so he doesn't really feel the possibility that he could actually jump across the fence. So again, learned helplessness is quite a concept, and I think it applies to different things. But if you can reverse the concept, learn helpfulness, right? You have it, and then it's just a steady process, because nothing comes in one day.
Yeah, of course.
But on the short term, if you ask what's the problem or how do you solve the problem, import some Swiss people.
The thing is like this: when you are going, many people say that if you want to change Indonesia, you have to go to the government. You have to be like politician. But
again, that is theatrical thinking, Because in a theater, you would have a king, and then everybody else has to obey his orders. So, but that's theatrical thinking. There is no such thing as a concentrated power. Power always is related to a group of people acting in synchrony. If that synchrony is not beneficial to the majority, then the majority has to create their own synchronized groups and get them out. But it's always
of course.
back and forth.
I mean, like we have this kind of group. I mean, we have. I'm a part of the artist group in my city. So we have like some discussion and some, to make people less religious, not less religious, less conservative. So people can more open-minded, because a lot of people are really close-minded in Indonesia. Yeah.
Again, the best selling point is just examples.
Yeah, of course, examples. I mean, to show that.
But that's what I mean also for the. That's what I also mean for not just particular people or particular problems. That's what I mean in general as a country that is governed by some government. Because you can, in Indonesia, for instance, those tribal people can say, well, we don't like this kind of pollution. Look at what country X did. They solved the same problem, and the government was even better afterwards, right? You can if you have examples, you can actually pick and take them as reasonable goals to achieve.
Well,
if you don't have examples,
I don't know about that, because sometimes government, when they critic them, the government will say that, well.
Yeah, but see, it's again basic psychology. If you see your neighbor doing something nice, your other neighbor doing something nice, you start to feel, maybe I should do the same thing, right?
It should be like that.
Yeah, but again, if you are not seeing anything around you, it's more difficult to think, maybe I could do something nice. But if you see kindness and niceness all around you, of course it will attract.
Yeah.
But I like it more if there is at least some type of conflict. It makes a greater dynamic.
Yeah.
So we didn't really speak about your country. What's your relation to other countries? I'm particularly interested in what's the relation for Indians and all the Asian countries. Or isn't Indonesia called Oceanic country?
No, we are ASEAN.
Asian. All right.
Southeast Asia.
Mm-hmm.
Oceanic is, I think, more to.
So it's a relation to India, China, Japan.
No. It's China and Japan and Korea is Eastern Asia, and then.
No. But what I mean is, what is your relation as a country?
Relation.
Are you friendly with them?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we just don't have diplomatic relationship with Israel and I think Taiwan. Because
because you don't recognize them as a separate country?
Because Indonesia is friend with China.
Hey. But Taiwanese people are pretty nice.
Well, I think everyone around the world you can find nice people anywhere. I mean,
I don't know about the Arabs, man. I don't know about the Arabs, because Arabs in general, those are friendly people. But then again, if they live by the rules which were made 1,000 years ago, I'm not trusting them.
Well, I mean,
if you don't reevaluate your priorities and just live blindly, I'm not willing to trust you.
Yeah, of course. I mean, well, it's generalization. I mean, you can meet good people and bad people anywhere.
Yeah, up here as people, yes, but somebody who's fanatically religious, no.
Not everyone in Arab is fanatically religious.
I guess so. Sure, yeah.
Well, I met some that is not. I mean, they don't live in Arab anymore.
Yeah.
And now they can say that no, I'm not religious, I'm an atheist. But when they are in Arab, of course they have to be Islam.
But if you ask me, what will be the major change in sort of now undeveloped countries or still developing countries, I honestly think it's probably access to entertainment, probably especially to porn, right? Because I've heard of India, the same thing you mentioned, that they don't have a porn industry, but yet they consume a lot of it. So once you get a porn industry and once you get in some other entertainment industries, I guess people will be chill.
Well, in India have Bollywood. It's very big.
It is like a traditional conservative cinema, but they don't have.
Watch that, yeah,
but they don't have any bang bang movies.
You mean bang bang is like porn movie?
Yes, that's what I mean.
Yeah, because their culture will not allow that. I mean,
look, if the majority watches porn online, I guess it's safe to say that the majority wants porn, right?
Yes, of course.
It's not a stretch.
Like this, they want it inside, but they will not say that they want.
Yeah, but see, that's the only thing that's holding them back, like to acknowledge what they already do.
Okay, now I think we are in the same boat that we believe that conservative people are hypocrite, right?
Not all of them, but if they act against their stated
a lot of them
values,
So, what is your advice for them? What is your advice for? I don't have to give them advice. I'm more or less related to the fact that they should be. You say it should be, but it will not.
But they should be able to be hypocrites. But the rest of us should be somehow related to the option of recognizing them. Because if a hypocrite says, I think this is needed. If you know he's a hypocrite, you don't take the same statement seriously.
Of course.
So it's a matter of not about them. They can be hypocrites in their own. Because if you see a drunk person, you don't have to ask him, do you like alcohol? Right? It's safe to say, oh yeah, you have problems with alcoholism.
No, I mean
see,
like this.
I recognize you already.
I mean like this. Well, the hypocrite people, if they are preacher, they have a lot of followers that believe them. I don't believe them, but there are a lot of people that believe them and will follow what they do.
Yeah, for yourself, you can just define your own criteria. What will be reasonable for you to consider somebody not a hypocrite?
Yeah, that's only for me, and I already do that. I mean, and after that, what can I do?
Establish a group.
I mean, like when you say like this, I already have that group. Like I told you.
Well, no, I mean the one. I mean,
like this. You say that establish porn industry, because if your country likes porn, they will happy if they have porn industry.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean.
The thing is like this.
It will get inevitably. It will get into a loop, because look. Even in Europe, even in Germany, because, for instance, prostitution is legal in Germany, right? Even in Germany, you could find people who would still say, no, it should be illegal, right? And yet it is legal, and the loop is on. The loop is on. Every once in a while, somebody says, no, it should be illegal. It's still legal.
How if the hypocrite is in a big number? The hypocrite is in a big number. They like porn, but they will say no to porn.
Yeah, but you don't have to ask them. You have the facts. You have the facts.
Yeah, after the fact, I mean, like if our government suddenly open opportunity to make porn industry, these people will raid the parliament. This hypocrite people will raid the parliament to say no to porn and anything.
But
it's not a solution, man.
Yeah, but you don't have to face it front. You can have some porn industry next to Indonesia, and then 10 years afterwards people will get accustomed to it, and then maybe on the border you can get some production studio. It's a slow, steady process. What I am saying is that listen to the facts. If people are consuming porn, it means they want porn. If they don't want to acknowledge it, it means it takes time to get them used to actually having also an industry, a native industry. Up till then, it's just you have neighboring jurisdictions. Do it there.
I think there is.
I mean, if you want to specifically talk about how porn can affect social change, you just need to look up the story of Larry Flint, the
Uh-huh.
well the founder and owner of Hustler magazine.
How's the story?
Hmm?
How's the story? How's the story in short? Larry Flint.
Well, he wasn't satisfied with what Hugh Hefner was doing with
Uh-huh.
Playboy, because Hugh Hefner with Playboy was revolutionary.
Uh-huh.
They started showing in the 50s
Mhm.
naked women.
Mhm.
It was unorthodox,
Mhm.
right? They got a lot of attention. They got a lot of problems, but they fought through it, and they sort of got it going. And then Larry Flint wasn't really satisfied with what they achieved.
Mhm.
He wanted to not just see naked women, he wanted to see the genitals. So that's what he did.
Mhm.
He was taken to court. He won the court on free speech principles, and that's why porn is now established in America,
free speech.
because people, the pioneers, were willing to fight against the system.
Yeah,
It takes only one to allow millions to live in prosperity.
the free speech in Indonesia is kind of gray area.
But that's what I mean. It's a steady process. They didn't just overnight
Of course, yeah.
start showing vaginas. They did it in steps. It wasn't orchestrated. It just happened. That maybe we could show a little bit more. Maybe we should. Yeah, why not? Why not? Then they got into trouble. Then they fought off the trouble. Then somebody else said, maybe I should even do this. And so he did that and got also in trouble.
You know, Indonesia used to have Playboy
Hmm.
in 2007,
Mhm.
and then it gets raided.
Hmm?
It's get raided by the radical people, by the radical Muslim people.
It's
Get raided.
what's rate?
You know, raid is like banned. You cannot have Playboy anymore in Indonesia because
You mean
it's
banned,
banned,
prohibited?
prohibited.
Okay.
So we used to have Playboy until some issues, but now we don't have Playboy anymore in Indonesia because it's like this.
Yeah, but you have the internet still.
Still, I mean like this about if you want to
It's
push
just-
the
Here's
border
the thing.
away.
Here's the
like
thing.
what you say.
What you are describing is a simple process, and I always tell it to people. The same happens with marijuana. People are saying, "Oh, it should be legal because it's not harmful," and I'm telling you, do you have problems in getting marijuana? And usually they say, "No, I get it from my trusted friend or my dealer." So all right, you have already what you wanted. Just live on your life, and in one generation's time, everybody will think, "Oh, well, it's all around me. Yeah, why not?"
yeah. I mean,
It comes from the
if you
inside.
say that, it's just matter of time. I mean, like in 10 years, Indonesia will accept gay marriage. I think
What?
the LGBT marriage maybe in 10 years or 20 years.
I don't know. I don't know if that's sort of a progress. Because I think when it comes to the LGBT and stuff like that, it's more or less a syndrome of affluence. If people live in too comfortable circumstances,
I think now like this. In Indonesia now, to accepting the LGBT is easier than to accepting porn. I think to accept that
is easier. You mean?
it's easier. I mean,
All
now
right, go ahead.
I mean like this. Now, anyone have at least one or two lesbian or gay friends.
That's why the lesbian is so popular in search terms.
Yeah, you know. That's
Arab hypocrite lesbians. that's my go-to phrase.
Yeah, you're
Arab
right.
hypocrite lesbians.
You're right. That's gonna be a big hit.
No, I don't want to.
It's gonna be a really big hit, you know.
Yeah.
Because now, like, although there is radical people in Indonesia, but there is a lot of progressive people too. This is the good side.
Yeah, because of the communication options.
Communication and then the globalization.
So
and
it's already happening. The change you are describing that you would like to see is actually already happening.
Yeah.
It's just that it's not that fast.
I mean like this. This is only the matter of time, of course, but
Yes.
but I believe that people that now in our government will die in another 30 or 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
They're another in 20 or 30 years, my generation gonna be the next people in government, and I believe that maybe that time free speech gonna be more encourage it.
Yeah, again, because history shows you a lot of examples. What happens when these things occur and what
like
what
this
comes
before
afterwards.
I say about the bad things about the radical people and then all these things, because that's the problem that what we really face now. But we also have the bright side that we have progressive people too. I mean, like me and my group, we have like this discussion group that have talking about totalitarianism of the religion, and then that we can live by ourselves without any guidance of this shits, you know. Yeah.
And that's why I like the fact that we are able to access almost all the information all of the time, almost everywhere. Because it's never been. It's revolutionary.
We are privileged.
It's revolutionary.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's really privileged for our generation now to have this kind of knowledge. I mean, before the knowledge only got
the options. Yes, the options are just
is unlimited now.
Huge.
Before people got the knowledge only from the school and maybe from TV and from the newspaper, and all these things
very limited. Yes.
And all these things are very controlled by the government.
Sort of.
But now it's like government cannot control internet. They cannot control Wikipedia. I mean, well, in Turkey they control Wikipedia. They banned Wikipedia. They cannot open Wikipedia in Turkey. But
still, people find ways around it.
Of course, yeah. I mean, like this in Indonesia now, especially the educated people, they are thirst of knowledge, and yeah, I can see that. As you see that the acceptance of homosexuality is more and more open in Indonesia now. I think
again it's
the free
culture,
speech and
culture
and then the free speech and free expression gonna be more accepted later in future. I mean, even like in Europe for last 30 years, there is 30 years before there is no gay pride right here. I think like. Or 40 years before, I think it's still homosexuality is still under the category of mental illness. It's something revolutionary, you know.
Well, maybe.
If that happened here, maybe it's just not
But see, Europe is different because there are a lot of different countries. So some are more progressive than others historically.
Or maybe like USA. If you say
yeah, but San Francisco has been gay for the last 70 years.
Well, I mean like this. Hollywood in 30s is very conservative. It's just like 80 years ago. I mean, and it changed a lot
because the technology has evolved. Yes.
Right.
You
I mean, like
more.
So my country that is not so strict as Arab countries, I think we have hope to be more open.
Well, that should be the Asian side of you guys. To just be more pragmatic and technology based.
Yeah.
Because it seems to me Asian people would like to be futuristic, that they want to make more things more effective and technology based, whereas Arabs are very traditional. So it's a weird combination for you guys. You are a mix of Arabs and Asians.
Yeah, well, some people are, the radicals people, they are really endorse like patriarchal.
Well, they're ignorant about the world.
And then
they don't want to
know. Polygamy, and then women.
Polygamy. Look, I don't blame them. I don't blame any man who wants polygamy. I really don't feel that that's something that I could blame them for.
Well, for me, like I myself, I'm a polyamorous person.
Yeah.
So it's like this: if a man can do polygamy, the women can do polyandry too. Like.
You mean that? You just don't like the inequality between them.
Yeah, inequality. I mean, like.
Sure, that's because that's injustice, sort of.
Yeah.
I get it.
I mean, like, not about one man can have 4 wives, but the women can also have another man. I mean, that's what I think.
I get it. Yes, but again, it's sort of based on traditions. Yeah. So it's not. It doesn't have a real logic. It just has. That's what my grandparents did. So
something like that.
Yeah. Just we continue. Anyway, do you have any final thoughts? We discussed a lot of topics.
Yeah. Is it streaming or you will?
Yeah, it's streaming.
Okay, so it will not be cut or things.
No, not at all.
Okay, you'll just post everything.
Well, I'm not really that. Well, I'm more lazy
Okay.
than anything else. So
So
if
where
I have the
can-
chance to just press 1 and press 2, that's it.
how I
I'm
can
good.
access this conversation? It's really
I can send
interesting.
you afterwards after it's processed on YouTube. I can just send you the link.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's time now because I have to back to my host place.
Yeah, sure. So anyway, thank you.
Thank
for
you so
being
much.
here.
Yeah.
If you are around in Latvia, let me know.
Okay.
We can do some further investigation about Arab hypocrite lesbians.
Well, at first when I come here, I think we'll talk about my travel and about my art, but it's more about the politics in my country.
That's how it sort of unfolded. We started with your art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like maybe I don't really give a very clear or very interesting explanation because it's not my field. I just.
Well, you should be.
interested that-
Yeah, but you should be looking at it more objectively. You are in the moment, so you are not really taking a script and now reading to me something that you wanted to say, right? You are not that politician. You're not that hypocrite. Right?
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So let me press a lot of stops.
Okay. How long is it?
2 hours, 15 minutes.
Cool.